It's very, they used to do that. People, used to encounter that not much more typically back in the day, like promotional stuff,
Yeah. All right. It looks like we are joined by Henry and Steven.
All right, hold on.
Love the mask.
Love the mask.
What mask? Oh, this whole thing?
Beautiful.
It's so weird.
We match. Wow, we shop at the same place.
I know. Well, I just remembered that I was talking to Ashley, and I was just remembering that it was I should have pulled it out,
Well, it looks great on you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Adam, you have the mask. It looks terrific.
That's what they tell me. The more of my face that's covered, the more compliments I get, apparently. I don't
Yeah,
we're advertising the film, right?
Yeah. We support it and are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Lowell. Thank you. So, and then let me just make sure I get everybody's names. Henry Levner.
Yes.
Right? Henry.
Yeah, that's me.
What?
Yes. It's Lovner. Yeah.
Lovner. Love. And like Mr. Holder, is it
Yes,
Lovell? It's Lovell?
Lovell. Yes, Lovell. Yeah, there's lots of love on the call. Lovell and Lovner.
What
Yes,
are the odds of this?
joking.
I'm going to change my name to Love Shartoff.
There you go.
Why not? Yeah.
Is Claudia join us, or is it just the four of us?
She should be on hopefully any second.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to. It's okay. It's a crowded episode, which is always. I actually like it for the YouTube show. The podcast, it gets a little burdensome sometimes when you have too many voices at the same time, especially if they're all guys with masculine voices like we all have, of course.
Sure.
And
no, Adam, I know what you mean. I host a podcast with a friend, and we were just having a conversation yesterday where he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking 6 guests for this episode." And I was like, "The max is 4. We have learned the max is 4."
Yeah. There are some things you can do, like you can have people just regularly remind at the beginning, say who they are, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to get into that habit. But have I been on your podcast? I don't know. I have to check.
Oh, I don't think so. No, we've just started it in the pandemic. Yeah, it's called Sister Roger's Gayborhood, and so it's my dear friend Roger. The name was too good to resist.
That's a good name.
There's Claudia.
All right. Now I've done my visuals. I was happy to have gotten my
all right.
Well, it's great meeting everybody. I was on your Q&A, or your conversation, I should say, the other day, and I love Patrick Brice, so I was only too happy to hop on. Plus, it gives me an opportunity to get some information that it's only a benefit to do that, and plus I have absolutely nothing else going on. So there's that.
Wow. We're in the same boat. There wasn't a festival. I'm sure we'd just be doing puzzles. So
yeah.
No, I have actually. Yeah, I've been watching the films, and so I was nice. So actually, you got a question with Patrick from someone, and they asked, did you ever wrestle with, making it too COVID specific? So in years down the line, when people find your film, as they most certainly will continue to do so, that they remember that question.
Yeah.
All
Sure.
right. Well, that was me. So I was just.
Great. An insightful question. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to insert, but I was just trying to say hello to Patrick too.
Yeah. We're also big fans.
We were so thrilled that he responded and was able to do it. We were not, I don't know if we mentioned it when we were live, but we had watched the overnight,
oh, wow.
Literally the day before, rewatched it because we love it, and just we watched it the day before we shot, and then we've been talking about Creep for years, so it was just it was so cool to have him join.
Yeah, I think the overnight is spectacular. It's people should watch it after they watch The End of Us.
Exactly, in that order.
Except that it's not at South by Southwest, so it's not making sense. And I met Patrick there, on that film, And then we were doing the podcast in this hotel in New York City, and Jason Schwartzman walks by, who I've also had on for another film, but he walked by at that moment and ducked in, so I can say I had him on twice. He's such a sweet guy.
They're such a lovely family. No, the Jason and his mom Talia. I did a movie with Talia, and just the loveliest people.
Yeah, she's terrific too. But I don't want to. I just wanted to mention that I did watch your Q&A and I enjoyed it. And how has the experience been? The film, of course, is very COVID specific. It's about a relationship that has unraveled at the beginning of the pandemic, and how this couple who are quarantined together are managing that, which is a lot. It's so, I mean, you've done it kind of almost with a light touch though, which, is very appreciated in these times, because it's an intense experience the last year, especially for people that are stuck in a relationship. So Ben Coleman, who plays the male character, he's actually did go through this, right? And was going through it during the early days of the production, if not during the whole thing.
Yeah. So Ben, who we all are friends with and worked with before, like he had been telling us, unfortunately, this was sort of one of those situations where it was kind of a long, kind of drawn out process. This wasn't sort of like a one fight type of thing. And so we were sort of getting updates from him, even leading up to like the actual lockdown, about how the situation was just obviously one that was quite stressful. And by the time the lockdown happened, it was like, well, I don't want to speak too much for him, but it was like any.
Well, you may as well. He's not.
I hereby represent Ben Coleman. The notion of one of them being able to move out, obviously everything was completely halted, and so it was like he just, we would just talk for, hours, honestly, just like hearing about how he was doing, but also like he had all these just tidbits of just strange, just the experience of waking up, next to her during this process, with all the added stresses and unknowns of what we were all experiencing. It was just, there were just so many moments, and really small moments too. Like it's obviously, it doesn't take too much to sort of like, come up with, what would be like the movie beats, but like there were so many much more small, specific kind of things that we just found quite interesting. And we were like, if we're going to make a movie about this, we want to capture those true things and those, very specific moments between the two of them.
Yeah. You guys, by the way, Henry and Steven are the directors. I should have mentioned that, and the screenwriters.
Yes.
And Claudia and Lovell are producers. So I should have mentioned at the start, but and I'll put a title card at the beginning to clear up that too. So did you guys, Lovell and Claudia, did you guys have, you've had some producing backgrounds here, I assume, and did you just think this was a bad idea? It turned out not to be. A very thoroughly watchable film, and I think it's absolutely, I hope you get this film out quick. I hope it's picked up and it gets distributed quick, because I do think it's so important to see this film as soon as people can. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe distance is a good thing. But going into it, why would producers put themselves into such a challenging situation? You'd ask.
We each joined the project at different points. I think while I normally wouldn't present myself as a producer first, I'm also a writer and director. I come from the same background as Henry and Steve, in which we've had to, by necessity, produce a lot of our own work, and understanding the scale and like how Henry and Steve work, which is a very small crew, moving fast, very intimate, especially when you're having to live together for COVID. It did make sense just to jump on this project, A, because I think they're incredible filmmakers and storytellers and wanted to be along for the ride, and B, I felt especially suited to help out in this project, since I just understand so intimately how it would have to work, given the short time span and the budget and all the constraints and COVID. So yeah, and then Level jumped on. It feels like you've always been part of it because you've been so
That's
to
what
the
I
post
thought.
process. But
Oh, no, I mean, I like to think of myself as the first fan of the film because I saw a cut of it in December because Henry and I had gone to college together, and I'm also very dear friends with his sister. And so he had reached out to me just to kind of ask some questions about post-production. And I watched the cut of the film, and literally the first thing I think I said to him was like, "You tell Claudia that she produced the absolute hell out of this movie." And you and Steven absolutely
Apparently
directed the hell out of this movie because I was just so totally blown away by what they had achieved in quarantine, shooting this feature for such a remarkable budget in 2 weeks, like with truly 5 people and one other cast member who kind of was there on the periphery. But it was the film truly is the exception that breaks the rule of every rule that I know about filmmaking in terms of what is required, what it takes to make a feature. And it's just a testament to these three that they're kind of genius at this, that they were able to literally do about what I would say would normally be 35 jobs amongst themselves. I mean, I was so in awe of it that I literally called Henry and I was like, "Look, I will help you with whatever you need to do with post. I would just love to be a part of this project because I think it's very special, and I think it captures a very specific moment in a way that level of honesty I don't think can ever be faked, and I think it's only going to get harder and harder to achieve with the more distance we get from this very specific chapter in all of our lives."
The film takes place almost a year ago to the date. I mean, March 10th, around the first days of March, the first weeks of when I recall quarantine in New York City. I'm not in New York City right now, but that how terrified we were, scared straight. We're into staying put. Don't go out unless you absolutely must, and then take all these precautions. It was probably more conservative, or overreaching on a certain level, but because of that, we avoided all sort of catastrophes like overwhelmed hospitals in New York. I'm talking about specific, but I remember that. So the film takes place in that period of time, but you shot it actually a couple of months later, right? So just to give people a context that maybe there was more information at the time when you guys were actually in production, because do you think even been able to film this a little earlier, or would you have been too I don't know, intimidated by that?
That's a funny question. I don't know that any of us have ever considered the possibility of moving faster than we did.
No,
but
you moved very fast.
Yeah,
you moved very fast.
Yeah, we moved really fast. Well, we wrote the script in April based off, very, very loosely sort of inspired based off of Ben's experiences. And so we went into production mid-May. So at that stage, we had only been in quarantine for about 2 months. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in terms of the sort of the feasibility of the project and safety being a sort of a number one concern, we had the luxury of already, by and large, being already part of the same pandemic bubble. I mean, Steven and I are roommates. Claudia is part of the bubble because she and I are dating. So, at that stage, it was just a matter of trying to figure out, okay, how can we get 2 other actors into an Airbnb with us without anyone getting sick? And so, that meant just, okay, no one can go anywhere for 2 weeks, no outside contact, no grocery stores, like total isolation. Tested, yeah, I mean, a big challenge, of course, was because we moved so fast, it meant that the script was, we had a script, but it was loose. I mean, we definitely had to kind of find our way as we were shooting. And so, and because the pandemic was still, changing in some ways, news was coming out about the disease itself, and also about the political environment, we had to think about, okay, to what extent are we going to incorporate this into the story, or do we want to work with information that was only available to us back in March?
And were you thinking about, yeah, I mean, you had probably, did you have any colleagues who were shooting at the time? I mean, that in May, you couldn't like leverage off of people's experiences. You were kind of pioneering in a way in terms of production during COVID.
I I certainly didn't know anyone at the time who was shooting. It definitely seemed like a kind of a harebrained scheme at the time. We felt very good about the safety element, but we were unsure about whether it would be a catastrophe just like logistically, because we were like, well, what happens if we not only if the script doesn't work, but like if we have like a technical problem, like the camera goes haywire, like we can't go to like Sandy's camera, like get a rental, like everything was shut down. So we got very lucky.
Yeah, sounds like it. I should mention also, we mentioned Ben, who plays Nick, half of the couple in question, the romantic couple turned roommates. Leah is the female lead, is played by Ali Vignano, who, by the way, she's a writer. I see on the morning show. Is that true, or is this just complete fiction? I only mention this because my son's mother, aka ex-wife, is a star in that series. Just so it turns out, so they may know each other. I don't know if they know each other. I just got off the phone with her, so I didn't look at that piece of information until after I got off the phone.
Yeah, they very likely do know each other. That's great. Yeah, she was a writer on both seasons.
Oh, okay. Is she being asked to write a third season? It's okay.
I don't think we know that. I know.
I'm just hoping, but no. I getting off track. A question for about you said I'm sorry. I have a terrible habit of conflating names, and so Lovell.
Yes.
Lovell. You came on late in the process as a latter day producer on the film.
Yes.
Post-production stuff. So does that include, you are singularly responsible for getting The End of Us, which is the name of the film, into South by Southwest?
No, not even remotely. I can claim no credit for that whatsoever. This film entirely 100% got into South by Southwest
on its own
merits. Stephen, Henry, and Claudia submitted it just like any other applicant, and it was actually accepted before I was ever even remotely on the team. But I'm really, I wanted to say one of the things that I'm really grateful to South by Southwest for is I'm really appreciative that they saw what the script captures in terms of tone. Because one of the things that we've been chatting about with people is like the kind of the too soon aspect of the project. Yeah. And I was thinking about this because I know, like, as someone who lost relatives to COVID during this, like, even amongst those deaths, when you're sitting in your apartment doing a Zoom funeral, there's no way that there's not this surreal, absurd humor to it. I mean, my mother and I were on the phone after a funeral laughing our behinds off. And so, I mean, I think,
well,
I was just
that sounds, you have a mother with a very macabre sense of humor.
Well, I mean, maybe, but it was just, it was so surreal. It was so surreal of the whole endeavor of just no one there as this body was going in the ground. And I think I just really appreciated when I saw the film that I felt like it was so grounded, but that amidst all this very extreme period in our lives, the moments of humor were so authentic and just so acutely observed. And that was something that I did just want to make sure that I did say on the record on behalf of the team, just as someone who again came to it first as an audience member and then was waving their hand saying, please let me in the clubhouse.
Well, and we owe Lovell a debt of gratitude because, the movie that he saw back in December is just a shadow of the movie that people got to enjoy at the festival, in large part thanks to Lovell's hard work and dedication to really making it feel like a complete film, and that would not have been possible without him.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm just happy to be on the moving train.
Well, and it is, you are currently looking for the right distributor?
Yes, that's correct.
I hope you appreciate the way I phrased that too, but it's a challenge for any film in any festival, let alone even Sundance. It's
oh no,
South by, it's
for any feature. It's independent film in this world right now, especially in a post-pandemic world. It's very challenging finding the right distribution partners, and we're very lucky to be working with BuzzFeed, who have been actively a part of these conversations. But yes, to your point, Adam, you're entirely correct. I mean, I have dear friends whose features have won awards at Sundance, and it's still taken substantial amounts of time to then get that film to the marketplace.
Once they meet your numbers, you'll be good.
Right.
No, if you're out there and you're a distributor, this is you should fighting for this film. I was very grateful for this, just to get onto my radar and have seen it. It's great. I look forward to seeing it again at some point too. It's called The End of Us. It's directed by Henry Lovner and Stephen Cantor. Excuse me. I'm sorry, and produced by Claudia Restrepo and Lovell Holder, and stars. And just tell me the rest of the cast here, because Ali Vignano and Ben Coleman.
Ali Vingiano, yeah.
What?
Vingiano.
Vingiano. Oh, I'm sorry, Ali, if she's watching. Vingiano, because usually in the Italian, but maybe the G is in the wrong. I have to probably correct her birth certificate. It's probably got a typo on it. I'll deal with it.
I get it wrong every other day. So
maybe it has to be GN for it to be Vignano.
Ali V. That'll
Ali
be
V. Oh, I like that.
Stage name.
That's funny. And Derek DeBlasis.
Yeah.
It's like they're daring me to get these names right. I'm usually pretty good because my last name is a little bit tricky. Do we get to everything, or did I leave anything really important?
I think that's most of it. Yeah. I mean,
it's currently, as we record this, and I'll post this, and I'm going to get right on it, post it today to optimize the fact that we still have most of Friday, if you're in the East Coast anyway. Well, even better in the center.
Even better in the West Coast.
Well, even better. It's exactly where you guys are. It's morning still. And so people have still 2 full days of South by to catch this film and others. So let's spread the word.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Adam.
It's a pleasure meeting. We'll do it again. Anybody in the future, I'm sure we'll do it again. And I'm going out do some errands. I'll see you guys later.
Wear your mask.
Look at that.
All right. Nice meeting everybody.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks, Adam.